superb aviator and co-host. He's a former international and professional racquetball champion, a member of the 9G Club, an A&P and avionics tech, an RC aircraft commander, a boat skipper, a commercial drone operator, and currently a 737 pilot for Legacy Airline, the name we use here on the show as an alias to our employer, a U.S. mainline carrier. From his castle on the hill, where he is recovering from a heavy club volleyball schedule and hanging out in the back alley like Hank frickin' Hill, from somewhere in Flower Mound, Texas, please help me in welcoming to the show, Mr. Rob D. Rob, how the heck are you?
I need more coffee and more earplugs because my ears are ringing from all those whistles and girls screaming and all those super early and late nights on these volleyball courts, man. It's crazy.
Oh, I can only imagine. I mean, that's a lot of high frequency noise.
Oh, you don't even know.
And you know, the funny thing is, the other day I was like trying to argue with myself, to convince myself maybe I should buy some like nice noise canceling headphones. You know, I've been using these Telex 850s now. For all you aviators out there, you know, your headphones are crucial, absolutely crucial. You don't want to go deaf by the time you're 50, and the flight line is one of the noisiest places out there. And you know,
just flight deck too. Yeah,
flight deck can be, depending on your equipment. Absolutely. Yeah. Now, when you're in a Cessna or a Piper and you go out there doing flight training, you buy these headphones. Usually, you get something relatively inexpensive, unless you can afford a Bose or a really nice, you know, Clarity Aloft or something fancy. But most people buy a good pair of David Clarks or something like that. They're the cans. They call them the cans. You know, they sit on over your ears. They're very comfortable to wear for long periods of time, and they muffle out a lot of noise. You don't necessarily need an A&R, active noise reduction, or headphones. You could do with the passive noise reduction. So those are crucial. Having a good microphone setup as well is crucial, so that your co-pilot or ATC can hear you clearly and not too much wind noise is getting in there. But as you progress in your career, you tend to want to seek out lightweight headphones that are not going to hurt being on your head for a long period of time. The over-the-ear is probably the most comfortable in terms of traditional headphones. They have the on-the-ear now. I know that David Clark, the Pro X, now does an over-the-ear.
That's one I have.
Yeah, those are very. That's the one actually I'm considering purchasing. So if anyone from David Clark out there is interested in having me do some reviews for you, feel free to contact me at aviatortony@gmail.com. But I've been using these Telex 850s. Now, the Telex 850 look like those old Sony Walkman headphones, you know, the kind that are just like a plain light wire, and they're over the ear, or on the ear, I should say.
Foam pads on there.
Well, yeah, I actually upgraded and got the more gel,
and
the fake leather pads, so it's a little bit more comfortable. But they're very lightweight. They don't do a great job in taking out a lot of the surrounding noise, the cockpit sound noise, but the Airbus is a very quiet cockpit. As a matter of fact, in my experience, over 90% of the pilots that I fly with on a daily basis, as soon as you go through 18 or 27,000 feet, depending on what they feel comfortable with, they always look at you and go, "Ready to go stereo?" Yeah, or "Are you ready to go wireless?" And you're like, "Okay." So yeah, topless. Yeah. So you turn the speaker up on the cockpit speaker, and you take your headphones off and hang them, and so now you're using the hand mic for communications, and that is more comfortable, but it is by far not quieter. And after a long flight, going through busy airspace with the speakers, you know, blaring in your ear, it can be very fatiguing, as I've mentioned many times in the past. Now, you said you have the X Pro. Do you have the latest one with the Bluetooth and all the fancy bells and whistles?
Yeah. Actually, I'm trying to remember. I have the David Clark, the Pros. These sit on top of the ears. They don't go over the ears.
Right.
So they're the smaller ones. So yeah, they're active noise canceling, Bluetooth. So When it comes time for a long cross country and you got recurrent quarterly training coming up on your EFB, I Bluetooth that to my headsets and do some training while I'm low when it's you're straight and level and you're not talking to too many people. So
Right.
um,
And the nice
yeah,
thing about that
those
is
are
they
those are
cancel
good.
the don't they pause the audio while or they mute the
Yep.
audio if ATC talks, so you're not going to
Yeah,
miss a
it'll mute
call
the
or whatever.
audio.
Yeah.
So there's a setting on it, and it's a toggle. You can turn it on and off. So, the default setting is it'll mute the audio of your audio device as you get a call over the radio, and then you can toggle that off, and it'll just keep the volume at whatever volume you have set.
Yeah.
So if a radio call comes in, you just need to have that a little louder than, than what you're listening to. So yeah, that's pretty neat too. But yeah, they're not as. I do have a pair of Clarity Aloft that I use for the whole time I was at Sandpiper,
Mhm.
and 12 years at Sandpiper, and those Clarity Alofts are great, and I would definitely use them again. It's just mine after 12 years. I mean, I think I've got over 10,000 hours, 8,000 to 10,000 hours on those puppies, and they need a lot of maintenance.
Yeah.
So I knowing that the 737 was a noisy cockpit, I thought I would invest in the DC David Clarks, and they've been really good headsets. I like you said though, they still sit on top of your head, and there's a little more weight to them than obviously than the Clarity Lofts,
Mhm.
and a little more weight to them than your Telexes. But the noise canceling is really good, and the the headset is it's built like a tank, so it's built to withstand the day in and day out of flying. Um, I was going to say that the 737 is a loud airplane on some airplanes, and some of them are quieter airplanes. We have older ones and we have newer ones. The first generation ones we have, they don't have vortex generators around the windscreen. So these vortex generators on the windscreens um, definitely lower the wind noise
Oh.
that you experience. So the newer airplanes have those vortex generators, and there's a noticeable difference in the level of noise on the newer airplanes, especially when you're you know flying up around the 7.8, 7.9
Mhm.
Mach speeds. The older airplanes are just loud. I mean, it's just like you have to
Yeah.
keep your headsets on. But the newer ones, you could take them off, and it's not that loud. You can actually have a conversation, and yeah, it's not as fatiguing as the other one. But there are some points where we'll actually take our headsets off on the 7.3 and actually talk without headsets. It's kind of nice, but as soon as you start descending and getting into the thicker air and more dynamic pressure on the airplane and stuff like that, that just gets louder. So you got to put your headsets on.
Yeah.
And so when you start getting more radio calls too with the descends and descend vias and all that fun
Right.
stuff. So
Right. And it's interesting
hey,
that oh, look at this. Someone is
hey, look who's joining.
hey. So we're gonna splice you in here because we start talking.
Yeah.
Just give me a second.
There we go. Sorry, I'm late. The baby decided to wake up every 3 hours last night instead of 4, and so that kind of affected the schedule this morning. And I'm still catching up on. Got in late on Monday night from a trip between a maintenance or Sunday night between a maintenance issue and 140 knot headwinds coming back from Charlotte. So
I feel you,
yeah.
brother. The minute you said baby, you're done. The word doc translates that for you.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Yeah. Sorry about yesterday when he sent that. I tried hitting it and it said I needed an upgrade or something for the.
Oh,
I
no.
have an iPhone 6S still. I'm not a cheap airline pilot, so um, I don't have the latest. I don't have the latest technology. I did. The cat just flew with had a flip phone. I was amazed.
We're gonna talk about
I was
that.
like, He's like, you can go get an iPhone. They're handing them out now. Like, he's like, no, they're like $1,000. They're like, no, you can get an older iPhone for free. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Oh,
No kidding.
you don't say,
And I
Sonny.
was like, hey, what do you think about all this electricity in here too? It's pretty
Hey,
cool, isn't it?
when I first started flying, you had to kick the mule just to get going. All right, here we go.
That's funny.
Yeah, so headphones are absolutely a crucial part of flying around.
Definitely.
And having a good
It's an
set.
essential tool
Yeah,
to your work. I mean, and you have to have a good headset because I mean, like you said, your hearing is everything. I mean, I spent 12 years of aircraft maintenance in the Air Force working fighter jets, and it was mandatory that you had double ear protection whenever you worked around those jet engines and stuff like that.
yeah,
So we'd wear those little foamy earplugs, and that would, cancel out the noise for a certain frequency range. And then we'd wear the big cans over our heads for the second set of frequencies. And even with that, I still have tinnitus from working on those things. But same thing working on the flight deck, though. I mean, you're the constant, ambient noise of the airplane and the wind noise and everything like that just will wear down your hearing, and it's also, like you said, very fatiguing.
yeah.
And so you can sit in an airplane for 4 hours and do absolutely nothing other than talking and a lot of brain work activity up there. But you get to your destination and just the noise wears you down. And that's the same thing that I've been going through at the volleyball courts with with my
Exactly.
kids. It's just constant whistles and yelling and screaming, and it just never stops. And we're in there for like 8 hours. So I tell all the other parents, hey, I'm not trying to socially distance from you guys. I'm just plugging in because I have tinnitus, and this helps me sleep at night.
Do you have the
And that way I'm not
Bluetooth
so scared.
Quiet Comfort headphones that you bring along with you and stuff?
No, I probably should, but actually, I use the AirPod Pros, and those work pretty good. Just put on the noise canceling,
Yeah,
and obviously those don't last that long, but in between the games and stuff like that, I'll take a break, go out into the hallway, and charge them up, and
yeah,
and then when these things die, I just bring I have my foamy earplugs with me anyway, so I'll just put
yeah.
those in.
And I think that's how we kind of
Yeah.
got started on this conversation. Is I actually downloaded an app. It was a free app for my phone. It was a decibel reader because I was curious. I was trying to argue with myself: should I go out and spend $800-900 on a fancy headphones or headset for the
Yeah.
cockpit? And so I downloaded this decibel meter, and in the Airbus, it's not that bad. I don't know if I have a screenshot here, but it was
Has
basically,
there been the 80s and the 70s?
yeah, I think it got on takeoff because I turned it on and left it, next to
Oh,
my
okay.
bag there. I think on takeoff it got to like 92 maybe,
Okay.
but it was in the
Yeah.
like low 70s. I was very
Yeah.
impressed um,
Yeah, that's pretty good.
by how this worked. I got an app called Decibel X. I mean, right now, just sitting here, I'm looking at when I'm talking about 70 decibels average, maxing at 83.
Oh,
Um,
you're just loud.
yeah, well, I've got my studio, and so it picks up sound relatively well and
Yeah.
blocks out a lot just naturally. Uh, but yeah, interesting to see how noisy the cockpits are. Maybe let me know if you're interested. Maybe we can do a little comparison between the 7.3 and the
Yeah,
Air.
that's actually something I'm gonna do. I'll download one of those things onto my phone and get a reading on. Hopefully, I'll fly an old one to get a good sound reading on it, because those things are. Actually, that'd be a good idea. See if I can fly. If we have a lot of new ones, a new 737, so I'll fly the new one, and then if I get an old one, I'll get a takeoff
Yeah.
sound reading and
See if you can
compare the
put
two.
rest the phone somewhere where it's centralized in the cockpit or up on the glare shield,
Yeah,
and use it in the same
put it right
place
on the
on each
center
one.
pedestal
That'd
and
be
fly.
interesting to do a little research. You hear it here
Yeah,
first,
it'd be pretty
ladies
neat.
and gentlemen, on Squawk Ident. How noisy is your flight deck? And if any of the listeners out there want to participate, by all means, take a reading, do a screenshot,
Yeah,
and send it over. Email it
yeah,
to us. Just go to the website and send us a screenshot. We'd love to see that.
yeah,
But you know what?
definitely.
We are very fortunate today. We are also joined by a returning guest, and today a very special guest host. Joining us, very excited to welcome back a young aviator, entrepreneur, and humanitarian. He's a Texas native, a physical linguist, figure that one out, a social media director, an aircraft owner, and a new father. And I must say, with fatherhood, he's learned how to become an at-home barista. He is a Airbus 320 family, DFW-based legacy airline pilot. Please help me and welcome him back to the show, Mr. Kyle Jansen. Kyle, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about you guys? Thanks for having me back.
Oh, our pleasure. Love to have you back. Yeah. So Kyle, the first time we had you on the show was on episode 46, All in the Flying Family, where we discovered all about your journey in aviation. We learned about the family Baron and how that aircraft has become a symbol for the Gary Sinise Foundation and for the Snowball Foundation and all these nonprofit charity organizations that your family is involved with. And I just want to say, on behalf of all those pilots that I fly with that know about what you've done for the community, thank you. It is just an honor to be able to, have a conversation with you about that aircraft. I understand that you're looking to sell the airplane. What sparked this endeavor?
Well, we've had the airplane since 2008, and over the years, we flew it. We flew it a lot, and the last 3-4 years, we've had 2 new partners that have bought into the aircraft, and it just hasn't been flying as much as it should be. And for what we use it for, just time to move on, pass the baton to the next pilot to continue its journey with the airplane and continue to helping out the Gary Sinise Foundation wherever they need the airplane, and go from there.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and if anyone listening is interested, at least at the time of this publication of this episode, if they were interested in looking into your aircraft, where can they go?
Right now, it's currently on Beach Talk. I think it's beachtalk.net or beachtalk.gov or .com. Currently on there, and what Beach Talk is, it's pretty much a forum of Beechcraft products. Excuse me. So they have anywhere from singles all the way up through King Airs. You have people talking about problems. You got for sale stuff on there. You have mechanics. You have all sorts of different groups and that's kind of the place to go for anything Beechcraft related, instead of having to take it to Textron to get worked on or figure out a problem. That's generally the first place to go to see if anybody else has had some sort of issue or airplanes for sale. So right now it's currently there, and then right now kind of doing word of mouth type of thing. We're trying to keep it. I wouldn't say trying to, but kind of advertising it more in North Texas, just because a lot of the functions that the legacy carrier puts on with the airplane is here in North Texas. However, it would be neat to go to another legacy pilot that wants to get back in general aviation or is already in general aviation and wants to get a step up of a single engine or have something you can kind of travel the country in. So just throwing that out there.
Yeah, and that airplane turns heads every time, and I love it when you post photos from out on the flight line, flying around. When you guys get a chance to put some hours on it, it's a wonderful thing to witness.
Yes, it is, and I can't even tell you when we've flown into the We call it the $200 hamburger run since it's a twin. Um, uh, uh, how many people walk up to the airplane still and kind of look at it and start asking questions, and even the fly-ins that we've gone into, seeing the emotions of people that have either lost a family member or known somebody that has lost a family member or a friend, just kind of knowing, showing them that still remember their sacrifice and will not be forgotten. So
Yeah.
it's a great feeling, and like you said, Tony, it's a head turner on the ramp everywhere you go, and may have to talk to somebody for an extra 10 minutes, but it's just it's a neat story, and glad that we did it, and I guess still doing it.
Yeah.
So yep.
Cool.
Hopefully, someone will accept the pass of the baton and keep the legacy going. That would be
Yes.
fantastic.